Hi, everyone. Welcome. We appreciate you guys coming. This is, if you have not been here before, Global Lightbridge, and we are presenting Mark Wentz, neurobiologist, physicist, and teacher. This is part 3 of a 3-part lecture. And Alexa Freeberg is our moderator. She'll be jumping in and letting everyone know what the timing on everything is and when you can ask questions and things like that. So I want to say thank you. And Alexa, is there anything that you need to add?
No, we're good to go.
Okay,
right.
I guess
Can you-
actually the one thing is if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And at the end, we'll have some question time. So
I appreciate you all showing up. I right off the bat, I'm just going to say I apologize for coughing. I've got a little bit of a lung issue at the time being, but we're going to try to make it through. I got my drink, so I apologize for the coughing because I know it's going to happen. All right, I got a lot of stuff here, guys. Let's get her started. All right. Where's my? Uh-oh. Did it share? I'm not okay. Yeah, it looks like it's good. Okay, let me get it started here. All right, get going here. Where's my? All right, everybody see this all right? Okay, start at the beginning here. All right, so part 3. So can everybody see the part 3 screen? You can? Okay, good.
yes.
So this is what I'm hoping to cover. There is a, my tab bar is in the way, but anyway, this is what I'm hoping to cover: telepathy, the telepathy tapes, prodigious savants, methods for contacting spirits, Sasquatch, ETs, and UFOs. And then I'm going through how I really got started in studying ETs and UFOs. And these are the peoples and events that really got my attention. And then I'm going to I haven't talked about myself. I don't really like to talk about myself, but maybe it's important a little bit about my background, on how this came about, how I changed from a materialist view to one a little more open-minded. Then I find this topic here, issues in modern physics, to be really, really good, because modern physics has serious issues, and I've outlined a bunch of them. And then some of the problems with the materialistic view, and how I can the tab bar thing is a problem. So, and then I'm going to do final thoughts and conclusions. Why we see ETs and UFOs. So this is what I'm hoping to cover. Okay. So push the little button. That little button didn't work. What's the problem? Why is it not working? Okay. There we go. I have to hit the button harder. Okay. So we ended last part with the Stalker Ranch and the dire wolf evidence, and the fact that there's the bubble over the triangle Skinwalker that seems to be a time event, time kind of bubble. And so maybe Sasquatch goes through time portals like the dire wolf of the Skinwalker Ranch, and maybe Sasquatch uses telepathy like that of the elephant. Oops, better. So this tab bar is my issue. Right. Does anybody know how to make the tab bar vertical? I wish I did. I can't figure it out. Anyway, so it's been discovered that elephants do use telepathy, and they can tell when you're coming, and therefore get out of the way if they can. So, all right. So, okay, I must have a button problem. Like, why is this not working? All right, this is annoying. I guess I can do it this way. My buttons aren't working on the computer. I don't know why. I can do it this way. Okay. So the telepathy, I don't know if you're familiar with them. I've been studying these. These are, again, it's that these telepathy tapes show absolute proof of the existence of telepathy. I say the word again because this was done back with J.B. Ryan, Duke University, back in the 40s and 50s. He proved it without a shadow of a doubt, over and over and over again. But the telepathy tapes, if you're not familiar with them, these are phenomenal. It's a remarkable compilation of accounts given by non-speakers. These are frequently individuals that are autistic. They don't have the body control to use their voice box, and they can use what are they called, letter boards to communicate. But what they discovered is that these autistics are very good at telepathy. And the telepathy tapes is a compilation of tapes. I've gotten up through 10 of them. I think there's more coming. They prove that these autistics are using telepathy and reading the minds of important people in their lives. There's so much more in these telepathy tapes than just that. So I strongly suggest checking it out if you haven't already. So okay. Now in addition to just the autistics, well, there's savants. Now this goes back to my old world. In the 80s, I was a neurobiologist. I didn't deal directly with savants. I dealt with schizophrenics, but of course, I was in the neurosciences, and I was fascinated by savants, as we all are. And there's different types, different degrees, but the prodigious savants, they're the ones that just they go beyond anything that anybody, any normal, what I call normal, they're called neurotypicals, that just goes way beyond anybody's capability. And that they've been outlined. There's not very many of them actually on the planet at any one time. This book that I have show here, Extraordinary People by Travert, if I pronounced it right. It's a scientific description. He's truly an expert in savants. And he goes through a study in the statistics of them. But one of the more unusual ones is a very, very, very young person can speak 14 languages fluently without ever being exposed to those languages. Now, there's people trying to claim that these languages are built into our DNA. It's already there, and then they have the ability to pull it out. So I don't know. Nobody knows, are these from past lives? I don't know. But anyway, some of these prodigious savant cases are just so amazing that one just cannot stick to the neural circuitry model of memory and consciousness. It boggles your mind. It does lead one to think, is there an information space like the Akashic records that consciousness can tap into? So this is something, in order to understand how memory works or the nature of consciousness, people are going to have to try to understand how prodigious savants can do what they do. So it is truly an amazing phenomena. I'm sure you're probably familiar with them. Now, there's a lot of stuff here. I didn't really expect anybody to read this. This has been recorded, so if you want to go back and look at this. So suggested methods for those neurotypicals who just want to know how to make contact with spirits, Sasquatch, and ETs. Neurotypicals are people that are not autistics, basically, or savants. They're just like the vast majority of us. It's just a term used to describe the people that are not savants and autistics. So the thing that savants and autistics have in common is that and by the way, most, if not all, savants are actually autistics, but not all autistics are savants. But they have this vague generality, that is that they think in terms of the left brain activities. I don't want to say the left brain itself, but the left brain type of activities that's one associated with left brain, meaning like language specifically, is inhibited. So right brain activities that don't deal with language, like painting and drawing and imaging, and those are heightened in ability for autistics and savants, prodigious savants in particular. So, okay, that plays a large role in my, well, it's not my opinion. I'm just sort of putting it all together. It's the autistics have, and you learn this from the telepathy tapes, that they have the ability to have direct contact with the spirit world, the deceased, ETs, and they do it by imaging. And they go to a place called the Hill, where they telepathically, it's like a telepathic Facebook group site, except for the telepaths. And so anyway, point is, what I'm getting at is, when you're making spirit contact methods, like those based on the skull experiments, I outlined some of the main steps you go through to heighten your ability to make spirit contacts. Basically, following the method of the skull experiments, designed around the methods used in skull experiments. You have a dark room. You can use a little bit of a red light, but basically you want it dark. You learn to meditate quietly and try to achieve a right brain activity. Now, a lot of the EEG studies done with savants and autistics, they have a heightened ability to go into alpha and theta brainwave states. So one can learn how to do that. A neurotypical, knows they can learn to do that. Now, Larry Costa, who I talked a lot about before, he is not anybody that I call a neurotypical, but he's not a savant, or I would call him a savant actually, but he's not autistic. He's one of the exceptional, has sort of his own category. He doesn't have to do this step A or B. He can go straight into communication. He doesn't have to meditate. He doesn't have to do any of this stuff. But for people like me and most of us, we pretty much have to learn how to get into the alpha brainwave state, and you learn how to do your energy manipulation and go to a Kundalini state if you can, lucid dream states, those kind of things. So then once you have learned how to do that, and if you do this with other people in the room that are of like mind, then in a very respectful manner, you start asking your teachers and guides that we all have on the other side to make communications and contact with you. And you then you got to make sure you do a little, I call them a prayer, but a message that basically you're asking just the people that you want to make contact with to appear. Bottom line is, Larry Costa always said, well, not Larry, but the warrior, his main teacher, always says to me, you don't want to just open the house to everybody, so to speak. You don't want everybody to come in. You just want the ones that come in that you want to come in. So you can do that. And they generally follow that rule. Apparently there are rules on the other side about this stuff. But your guide will help you make those contacts. Your teacher, guide, whoever you use on the other side as your main contact. So then you envision the image of who you want to contact. If you have an object of theirs, you hold that object, and it is an attractant, or a place, places that they used to be. Those can be helpful. You can then you can talk to them just like you would talk to each of us normally, or you can do it through telepathic images once you learn how to do that a little better, following the guidelines outlined in the telepathy tapes. You always close out the communications by thanking the spirits for coming and your teachers and guides. Everything is done with respect and love. If not, you really can get yourself into some trouble. And I've had that happen to me. Anyway, let me move the let's see. My button on my computer for some reason doesn't work, so I gotta use this thing. Okay. The non-typicals, as I said, like Larry Costa, they can skip steps A and B basically. Now there's a lot of stuff here. The next method, Sasquatch contact method. This is something that I also have some experience in. There's a lot of stuff here. I don't know if I want to go through this. You can read through it later on your own time if you want. Now, for me, since I'm a nature person, I go out into nature. That has always been my calling. That's how I've made Sasquatch contact. I know other people don't do that. So there are other ways. Alex, I know you and your wife perhaps do this a different way. I'm outlining the way that has worked for me. I research areas to where Sasquatch already made contact. And there's many ways of doing that. You can talk to the locals, you can read books, you study YouTube sites, you can go to a BFRO website, Bigfoot Research Organization. Anyway, for me, the wilder the place, the better. And I found a really nice place down here in Oklahoma that I go to, the Area X of the Kiamichi Mountains. Anyway, I find these spots. I have a place here on the Arkansas side. It's about a mile from my house where I do gifting. I would do gifting right by my house, except we have a bear issue. And the bears may like the gifts I would provide Squatch as well. So I go away from my house anymore for gifting. But find your area and do your gifting. Gifting can come in all different forms. I use food, dates, honey, marshmallows, apples. Some of those things work. People have different ideas on what to do gifting. You can do physical gifting with little toys and things. You just got to find out what they like and don't like. Introduce yourself to them in force. So you're talking to the woods, and it's sort of weird, but they will hear you, and they'll know you're present. And tell them your intentions. Tell them why you want to talk to them. Treat the communication with great respect and loving intentions. They can read you, and they don't like nasty people. They won't make any contact with you. It does seem to be weird to do this, but it's important. Continue gifting regularly. I try to. And then darn it, I can't scroll down. So then I camp. I go out there and I camp there. I spend time there. I think they call it habituate. I habituate. Do not video record. They don't like that. They don't seem to mind audio recording. If you're going to put a game camera up, tell them why you're putting it up, and be very open with them. I don't know why they don't like video recording, but they don't. When you're camping, do similar meditations that you would use in spirit contact. Reach out to them using image telepathy. They seem to like music and drumming. I take a little boombox, a little battery powered boombox. I play it real quietly, and I'll play tranquil flute meditation music into the forest. They seem to like that. I sometimes drum or play guitar or flute. Any gentle melodic music seems to work. No harsh music. They don't seem to like it. When contact is made, you need to learn to calm your fears. That is not as easy. That's not easy. They will not hurt you. Contact can come in many forms: rock throws, tree knocks, tree structures, geometric shapes, walking around your camp, whoops, gifting. They'll gift you. I've had gifting done with me that's remarkable. Some of the kinds of gifting, they'll take rocks, crystals, put them up in the notches of trees, They'll bend trees over for you. They'll make little structures for you, different shapes with rocks. They'll do geometric shapes with sticks. They always use natural materials, and you may see eye shine. You don't always see eye shine, but you might. I don't know why they do it. Why sometimes you don't see eye shine. To be honest, I'm pretty sure they're interdimensional. The reason I say that is because they've disappeared right in front of me. They take like 3 steps and then they're gone, and that they just disappear. And many people have said this. They will communicate with you once they trust you. They will communicate you with mind speak, and they will get into your head. You can ask them to come home with you, but I will warn you: be careful what you ask for, because they will come home with you. This may take weeks or months to gain their trust, and you got to find the right area. For me. Okay. So next, Sweet Pea, what do you want? Oh, my cat is wanting something. Now, this next thing on contact and seeing UFOs and ETs, this is not so cut and dry. I have seen several UFOs, many UFOs over my life, and I've had a few direct ET contacts face to face. There are patterns. There's no set way of doing this. There's factors involved that I've noticed over the years, that I've noticed around me when I have made contacts. Military activity around military activities and bases, quartz crystal or earthquake fault zones, heavy metal deposits like lead and zinc, large bodies of water nearby, underground caves and tunnels, regions of higher gamma radiation sources. Board Camp crystal mine has this green shale that gives off a fairly high gamma radiation emission. It's not high enough to be dangerous, but it's clearly higher than any of the other rock around there, about 5 times higher in gamma radiation. For some reason, they like the radiation areas. They do tend to come to people that have heightened right brain type activity, such as those exhibited by the non-neurotypicals, the autistics, and people like Larry Costa. They control who, when, and where the contact is made. You don't have much control over it. You'd like to. I wish you did. People say they do. I'm not sure. Maybe might be wrong on letter H there. They do have particular curiosity about human children, just like Squatch does. Bashar had an interesting comment about this. It said contact in many ways has actually occurred face to face, but they usually happen in a slightly shifted reality that is similar to your physical reality, but actually isn't your actual physical reality that you consider to be your normal reality. But then you forget that you made these contacts. Anyway, I've wondered that if there's some, I'm not sure it's ever really happened to me. One time maybe I made a contact with a reptilian. He may have taken me into another realm, but it's never been an obvious thing for me. There are other people that have said that they go into other realms. In fact, almost many of the experiencers talk about being taken into other realms. So I'm not calling myself an experiencer exactly. I've made contact, but I've never gone off, as far as I know, onto their ships or gone anywhere with them. My contact has always been right here on planet Earth in our reality. But the experiencers clearly will have much more to say about this. So anyway, how do you make contacts? I don't know. You go to places like I've outlined here the best you can, and meditate and ask and hope for the best. Now, what I want to start now is my history, just a tiny touch. I don't want to spend too much time on this. How I started on this. I've been doing spirit work most of my life. And I had seen UFOs when I was a child, but I didn't, I don't know why, but I didn't really spend much time thinking about UFOs and extraterrestrials until April 18th, 2018, not very long ago, 7 years ago. This woman here, Nancy Tremaine, she changed my life. She was a speaker at Ozark Mountain. She was abducted as a child and gave birth to 2 reptilian hybrids. She told her story at the Ozark conference. There's lots of women who have said the same thing. Kim Carlsberg, she documented hundreds of cases. John Mack, Bud Hopkins. So this is nothing actually unknown. Nancy's case was quite moving. So anyway, after her presentation, I went downstairs where they're selling little books to meet her. And when I was down there, remarkable thing happened. But now her books that she was selling, well, at that time she only had Symbiosis. So she was selling Symbiosis. She was actually sold out of them. So I couldn't really buy one at the time. But then later, I helped her edit her preordained Nancy Tremaine. I'm actually in it. I probably shouldn't say that because the passage is sort of funny. And then she wrote another one, which really is more about her life, enlightened chapters of my life. Anyway, so these are the books she's written. Now, here changed my life. This is why, God, it's this guy here. This guy, oh my God. So when I went down there to meet Nancy, and Nancy was wonderful, wonderful human being. We hit it right off. So Nancy and I were talking, and this guy walked down the stairs to do basically the same thing I did. He wanted to meet her. This guy changed me completely. His name's David Shoup. He was enamored with Nancy. That was really pretty clear. So he was opening up, probably telling stuff that he wouldn't have said otherwise. He was a professor at 5 major universities. He's a dean at 2 of them. He holds numerous patents and authors many professional papers. He's an engineer, a bioengineer, agricultural engineer. And the story he went on to tell Nancy, now I could tell he was a little tiff that I was standing there, but I wasn't leaving. I wasn't going to walk away. Once he opened up talking, there was no way I'm walking away. So the 3 of us were there. And so he talks about, and he wrote a book. The book doesn't have half of what we talked about. But he talked about his meetings with reptilians on reptilian vessels and why he was doing it, how he's been harassed by the government in a big, big way. And then he started talking about his cousin. His cousin was General David Monroe Shoup. He was the commandant of the entire Marine Corps under Eisenhower. And when General Shoup died, even before he died, they're both David Shoup, but I'm going to call the general and the professor. The professor and general were close throughout their whole lives. And the general would tell David stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to reveal everything that David said. Only reason is because Nancy and David, or Nancy in particular, has asked me not to in many ways. And I'm sure David would not want me to. I don't feel it's my place to do that. If David wants to reveal this stuff, it's up to him. He's not really a personal friend. He's a personal friend of mine. He is of Nancy's. And I respect their concerns, and I won't I won't go past around David. David has very good reasons, I'm quite certain, for why he doesn't say everything. But in his relationship with his cousin, the general, he learned that the general keep in mind, this is the commandant of the entire Marine Corps. He was selected by President Eisenhower over other generals to take over the Marine Corps in the 1950s. And they worked together on the extraterrestrial problem. And he indicated to David that he knew stuff. And David knows a lot. And how much does he really know? How much did the general really know? Well, I'm just honestly going to say that's for David to say. So that's David's deal. David has had significant harassment by the government, and he has significant contact with reptilians. That's why he wanted to talk to Nancy so much, because Nancy has as well. So this is General Shoup, 22nd Commandant of the Marine Corps. Anyway, so how much did he really know? Well, how much did he really know about the relationship between the ETs and President Eisenhower? You really don't see him talked about in the whole discussion of Eisenhower and the ETs. But I think this is a story that was kept really, really quiet, apparently. So anyway, David, Nancy, and I met at the conference. He's an amazing man. He appears to know a great deal about reptilians and the relationship with the U.S. government. Enough that the government really harasses this man. I don't know. He has not come forward recently. He wrote that little book back in 2019, and he did a little bit of signing, but after that he went underground. He's still alive. He talked to Nancy not long ago. Nancy called me up. Nancy and I are close friends. She called me up to tell me about it, and so he's still kicking, but he's not coming forward in the latest disclosure proceedings. There's got to be good reasons for that. Next person I want to talk about is Dorothy Izett. Oh my God. If you're not familiar with Dorothy Izett, this is perhaps the most phenomenal ET contact in all ET contact history. Little mild-mannered housewife, lived up in British Columbia. Last person you'd expect to have what happened to her happen. ETs and light beings came to her for over a 50-year period. They let her videotape them with a Super 8 camera. She traveled around the universe with them. They would come pick her up at her house and travel to different places on planet Earth to go see what the humans are up to. She was essentially a nanny for some of the Nordics. She worked with Nordics and the Greys, and her story is amazing. She has 30,000 feet of film capturing mostly these bizarre light beings, but sometimes the ETs themselves. Her description of what she did and how they did it, she tried to summarize it. Her work has been scrutinized. It's never been found to be hoaxed, never been found to be fabricated. It has been studied intensely back in the 1980s. There's no way to explain it by normal means. And some of the things she has to say are just off the chart weird. And she would get these videos that would look like this, light beams, bizarre, yet they would be single frames. Bizarre. And people have studied these things. There's no normal explanation for these things. Believe me, the experts have studied these things. The images she gets of ET, they're always fuzzy because they're going into other realms. That's what Dorothy says. You don't get clear images in the other realms. The light doesn't work that way. This is the book, Beings of Light, The Amazing True Story of Dorothy Wilkinson Izett. And this is the little video on it. the book is much better than the video. It's not very long. Half of it's written by the journalist Peter, whatever how you pronounce his name, Gutia, and the other half is dictated by Dorothy. It's not a very big book, but there's a lot of stuff in this book. A lot of stuff in this book, this little book. You can buy it on Amazon. This is a video worth watching. I think you can see it on Amazon Prime. I think. It's worth seeing. It's not nearly as good as there's some parts in this video that are quite good though, especially when the journalist comes to visit. Then the next person I want to talk about is Zach Humway. He's a local guy down here in Arkansas. His story of doesn't go back very far in time. His story of abduction is a typical story, but it is very personal and very he goes right into the details. He was able to have physical touching with many of the different types of ETs, the different types of grays. He has his contacts with them are quite involved. The Zach Humway story, he's never written a book, but his story was sort of outlined in this little video at a place called Strange Light Studios. I met with Zach, Maureen, my girlfriend and I met with Zach last year sometime. So he told me the story directly, and totally an amazing story, but not typically that much different than many of the other experiencer stories. So I'm sure you're probably familiar with John Mack. This man changed my life. Once I started learning that I needed to start studying this stuff, I went directly to John Mack. So the abduction story, the abduction book, and the story of Bud Hopkins is amazing. And then that led me to the aerial school event. You may be familiar with that one. I'm not going to go into details on all these. You can look them all up. These are ones where I really began to, my little simple materialist view of the world was now shattering. It should have shattered a long time ago with the spirit contacts I'd made, but this was just knocking me out of the ballpark. And the West Hall event back in the 60s, people tried to write that off as balloon taking radiation measurements. No. 200 students and adults saw this thing for quite a while. It was a major event. Now, I'm just going to go through briefly, very briefly. I've had some major events. Some I can't go into all of them because some of them are quite personal. But one of the weirdest ones for me, well, not the weirdest, but a remarkable one. When I lived back in Kansas, I like to go out to north central Kansas to a place called Glen Elder Reservoir. It's about, I would say 70 to 100 miles north of Interstate 70. Nobody camps there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place if you like the Nebraska kind of ecozone, biozone. I love camping there. Anyway, one night I was camping in my little spot, and I'm always there by myself, and started around 9:30. It was still a little, it was just getting dark. It's just getting dark. And I noticed this little light in the sky down to the south of mine. It looked a little different. The stars were just starting to come out. I'm watching the jets fly across Kansas along the airway. They always fly over I-70, back and forth, east to west to east across Kansas. So I'm watching the jets fly. Then I start noticing this little dot of light follow the jets. That's what the hell. So it followed the jets across the sky and then get to the other end of the view, and then it would jump back across and do it again. And then when there wasn't a jet there, it would just sort of fly around in a circle. And then it would come closer to me and then go farther away. I heard no sound. There were no lights other than a bright white light. What the hell? This went on for about 50 minutes. And then it just zoomed away, super fast speed. I don't know what it was. I mean, yes. I mean, it was a UFO. Now, this has happened. That area, I figured out where it was going on. It was they're following the jets at 35,000 feet and higher, and this is an area where there's been a lot of cattle mutilations. Even back in the 70s, the Delphos event, you can look it up, was only about 45-minute drive away from where I camped. A lot of UFO activity happens out there. I contacted the officer at Fort Riley, which is was about a 2 hour, hour and a half away from me. They have a drone. They do have a drone training program there, and it comes out of Salina College. And so I contacted also the guy who runs the drone program, and I told him what happened. And he said, "There's no way that was a drone. No way. Zero chance that was a drone." Military activities, no matter what level they're at, they're not going to be following commercial jets. And so you had a UFO experience. And by the way, that's not the only UFO experience out here we've had. There's lots of them. And so anyway, that was an interesting one. Now, this one here, the Kansas City UFO event of 2019. I think they meant to say UFA or UFO prize. But anyway, I didn't see this event, but I went to the meeting that Margie Kay, one of the MUFON directors in the state of Missouri, had. And at that meeting was, some of the testimonies were phenomenal. The one of them that really was the most phenomenal to me was there was a woman there. She was sitting right next to me. She was in tears. This woman was crying. She was in her probably early 60s. I mean, she was just shaking with fear, basically. And so I talked her into telling everybody the story. Now, there were a lot of people at this meeting. This meeting, Margie Kay held this meeting basically to try to get people to come to talk about their experience with the 2019 event, which went on for quite a while, I think for several days. It was a triangular ship that just went around Kansas City. And anyway, and there were other phenomena, I guess. There were abductions that occurred also. But anyway, this woman, she told the story. This woman said that she and her husband were driving down interstate on the west side of Kansas City. It was about 11 o'clock at night. And she looked up in the sky and she saw this bright cube, but it was a rectangle. It had a little depth to it, but it basically looked like a gigantic drive-in theater screen in the sky. And she could see inside the screen like a city and little ships flying around. She was seeing another realm. And she saw it for a good several minutes. And it just changed her whole paradigm of thinking. And she didn't know how to deal with it. She was emotionally just distraught over this. And she was coming basically to hear what other people had to say. And so it was a remarkable testimony. And then also this, the dealer, a dealer at let's see, what was it? A Toyota dealership in Lee Summit. He had gotten abducted during this session. I think his wife also got abducted with him. So he told the abduction story. It was a classic abduction story. The Greys taking him up in the ship and everything. Anyway, it was quite an amazing event. I've had many events happen to me, especially out in Arizona, especially in Sycamore Canyon, Arizona, west of Sedona. I've had many events happen to me. I've had things happen to me when I was a kid. I would see the bizarre lights in the sky, and I was like, "What the?" I even wrote a letter to an astronomer at Green Bank, West Virginia, And he laughed at me and said it was bullshit. I wrote a letter to somebody down in Los Alamos that they had the same response. It wasn't bullshit. I was having UFO experiences. Anyway, I've had quite a few. I've had some aboard camp, crystal mine, direct contact with reptilians, even with Nancy Tremaine. I used to go up there to be with her up in Michigan, and direct contact with reptilians. So I have some experience with it. So this is the what's it called? The Scientific Coalition for Ufology. So I attended their conference back last month, and it was really quite interesting. These are very serious people studying the events that get recorded, and they talk about some of the main bizarre things that can't be described by human physics. Acceleration of 55,880 Gs. Object decelerated instantly to a dead stop. It wasn't actually flying through air, it was relocating somehow. It seemed to evade, it anticipated their move. They do very careful analysis of events, so this is pretty cool. And if you don't believe any of this stuff, I don't care. I know you guys do. But if you don't, then here's a whole list that I put together. I know there's more. There's more than this. I know that for sure. In fact, do I have soul on here? I'm not sure I have soul on here. No, I don't have soul on this list. This is just some of my oh yeah, I do it right here, the Soul Foundation. I know there's more, but these are people taking this stuff seriously. If this stuff wasn't serious, these people wouldn't be studying it. Okay, so just a little bit about my materialist background. My story really starts around 1973. I was working in a lab at the University of Kansas. I was beginning my studies in neurochemistry, and I worked with a beautiful man by the name of Buzz Adams. One of them, unfortunately, passed away years ago. Deep, close friend of mine. He was close friends with Dr. Linus Pauling. And so Pauling would come to our lab frequently. I don't want to go into all the details of my relationship with Dr. Pauling, but we became friends. He is the father of quantum chemistry. He has 2 Nobel laureates. He is actually the discoverer of the he's the actual discoverer of the DNA structure for genetic information. I know Crick and Watson got the credit for it. Pauling did it. He got banned because he was put on the blacklist back in the 50s, and he wasn't allowed to go to England to present his work. Therefore, he didn't get credit for it. Crick and Watson actually wrote him an apology letter. I think it's located out in California, Big Sur, or maybe at Berkeley. Anyway, I got to know this man well. We became close friends. I was just what? I wasn't even, well, how old was I? 19 years old, maybe. I was, he strongly suggested I study quantum physics. So he introduced me to this book called Elements of Quantum Theory, and my life changed. My whole life changed. I then immersed myself in quantum chemistry and quantum physics. This is just a collection of some of my favorite physics books. It's not important to go through, but some of them are really quite good. Elements of Quantum Theory are right here. Maybe I can magnify this thing. Elements of Theory, you can't have this book anymore, I don't think. And I don't loan it out anymore because every time I loaned it back out, I never got it back. But it's a really, really good book on just the introductory mathematics. I was just a beginning student in calculus and differential equations at the time. I needed a little work, and I did end up being quite proficient in it, but it took me a while to do that. And so ultimately, I became quite good at quantum physics, and so this is one of the most important books in my life. There's a bunch of other really good ones. So anyway, so how do I get out of this? Go back to this, I think. Yeah. All right. So I was a teacher. I did neurobiology for many years. I ran one of the electron microscopy facilities at KU. That was fantastic life. I loved that life, but I lived in the lab. I did a lot of work in radiation research. I did teaching, and then I immersed myself in physics. And then many years later, I went ahead and was chosen to join a crew at Fermilab to work on little detailed properties of the Z boson, which is one of the force carrier particles for the weak force. So anyway, I worked at Fermilab. I did it actually a couple of summers. This is just one of my summers. I got to know Leon Lederman, another Nobel laureate. I got to know wonderful people up there. I was in heaven working up there. I was so happy to be there. And then I was chosen to, God dang it. Then I was chosen to go to Perimeter Institute of Theoretical Physics. Up there, we worked on coming up with education programs to teach quantum computer algorithms and how quantum computers worked. And there was only 2 Americans chosen. It's an international team. So these were my lab partners, a guy from Czechoslovakia, a woman from Estonia, and a woman from Russia. So the 4 of us, and then there was a woman from India that worked with us too. There were a group of us. So we worked on these projects. We're up there 2 summers. It was wonderful. International team. It's a think tank. It's a think tank. You're chosen to go. You have to pass these tests. It isn't easy to get into this place, but once you're in it, you are exposed to the highest level of physics. Everybody at the highest level comes to PI. And I was blessed to be chosen. I love that place. I love it. So there I got to meet David Deutsch and many other physicists, but David Deutsch is my favorite. He is the original founder of computer language for quantum computers. He is 100% convinced, and he has no problem telling you about it, that quantum computers are contacting parallel universes and perhaps even alternate dimensions. Some of the events that happened there indicate that they may have contacted parallel universes while I was there. Not so sure about that, so I really don't want to make that as a public record. But I got to meet with, it was heaven. Literally heaven to work there for me. I thought Fermilab was heaven. This became more heavenly for me. Okay, in there though, as I studied physics for those many years, I realized physicists don't know what the hell's going on. Yes, we can do all these things, but we're only touching the tiniest tidbit of what's really probably there. We know there's the mathematics just demands that there's multiple universes, perhaps as many as 9 types. The measurement problem has never been solved. The role of consciousness and the collapse of the wave function. Every one of these theories pretty much demands the presence of higher dimensions. Even what is a particle? You know, nobody knows what a particle is. There's 3 main theories on what particles are, but we act like there's a whole field of physics called particle physics, but nobody can really tell you what a particle is. There's 3 different, as I said, I like the de Broglie model the best, but there's the vibrating string model of M theory, and there's actually a black hole model that all little particles are actually little black holes. Anyway, these are all issues. Nature, time, huge issue, huge, major field. Entanglement, Huge issue. It's the basis of quantum computers. Trying to learn how it works. Entanglement's pretty much been shown to require the higher dimensions to be there, and they perhaps work by forming wormholes. Quantum teleportation computations, the basis. This is a huge field of research. Anyway, is the universe fractal in nature? Well, indications are it is. Holographic model, the most powerful model in all of physics, laid out by Malsadina. It's amazingly accurate, but it's phenomenally weird. We live in a hologram. Dark matter, dark energy, huge fields of research. Still don't know what it is. Quantum gravity, how does it relate to general relativity? What's the role of black holes in the universe? Information theory, which forms the basis also of quantum computing. Huge field, don't know what it means. It's the basis of the simulation model, which is a very powerful model, by the way. There's good reasons for that. We might live in a simulation. Then you got to really understand the true nature of light. Light is at the core of everything. It's how we experience the world, the universe. It exists in at least 37 dimensions. Light does not experience time or space.
Mark,
Yeah.
Mark, we're at about an hour.
Okay, all right. I'm going to try to speed it up. Dr. Bohn's implicate order model is very important. I'm not going to go over. I'm going to skip over some of this stuff. Simulation model laid out by Thomas Campbell, very important. Some final thoughts. Okay, these are the things that I've talked about so far. So, some conclusions. Multi-universe is infinite. If it's infinite, that means anything that can happen does happen. The soul tree laid out by Garbanzo. If you went to one of the sessions I talked about Garbanzo with Linda Clement, that appears to be accurate. Loving relationships seems to be the key to having a healthy, vibrant, growing existence. It clearly facilitates communication with entities from other realms, whether that be spirit realm or ET realm. Contacting or seeing other realms is a low energy process. Particle physicists, in my opinion, got it wrong. It doesn't work that way. The quantum computer physicists do have it right. Quantum computers require extremely low energy so that the process of decoherence does not occur. The other realms are right around us. They're at the macroscopic scale. We just can't see them. Okay, I can go through a lot of this stuff. I want to jump down to, I want to play this one little video clip. I love this one. Now, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Michio Kaku. He's a string theorist. And what he's about to say is not fact, but it does indicate that there are people thinking along these bizarre lines. So let me go to that little little audio clip real quick. See if it works.
Laureate to explain the multiverse in a simple way. And he said, well, look, take a look at radio. If you walk into your living room, how many radio stations are there in your living room? Hundreds of radio stations, right? But your radio is only tuned to one frequency. Okay, it resonates at one frequency, and that's why you hear only one station. But how many stations are there in principle in your living room? Hundreds of vibrations. Okay, now replace the radio with electrons. The electron is a wave governed by quantum mechanics. Okay, and how many waves are there of these electrons? An infinite number of waves, just like infinite number of radio waves. But you are tuned to one frequency. That's why you exist with parallel universes. In your living room, there are dinosaurs. In your living room, there are pirates. In your living room, there are aliens. You don't have to go into outer space to see the aliens. The aliens are there, right there in your living room. The thing is, you are no longer vibrating in unison with them. You've bifurcated. So you cannot jump into these other universes unless, of course, you are an electron. Electrons do this all the time, okay? And what is that called? That's called electronics. All of electronics are based on that idea that electrons can be in multiple states at the same time. That's why you have laser beams.
Okay. So, how do I go back? Oh, wait, I go back to share. I'll go back here. So, one thing I want to say about this, a couple things. Let's see, I want to go from current slide. Okay, I'm gonna sort of wrap this up. He said a couple of key things. Electrons, the wave function goes into multi-dimensions. Light goes into multi-dimensions. You got to stop and think about what we're made out of and how we see the universe. We function because of chemistry. Chemistry works simply because of the manipulation of electrons, their energies. Chemical reactions are just moving electrons around. That's all they are. Electrons also get moved around because they're a charge, and charge is mediated by photons. That's the boson that mediates the electromagnetic force. So we are wrapped up in the physics of light and electrons, which go into multiple dimensions, higher dimensions. Now, I haven't got into parallel universes. I don't have time. But my guess is there's a bleed over into parallel universes that we experience in quantum computers through entanglement. So we are on the cusp of trying to open this door wider in how to understand how the spirit realm works and how the ETs work. We're beginning to see that we can do this. We just need to think out of the box even more than we're doing now. And there are physicists now, I'm very happy to know, and I came across them at Perimeter, that are thinking out of the box. So the last thing I think I really want to talk about, and then I'll stop, is why don't we see UFOs and ETs most often? I think there's several reasons. There's at least 5 likely reasons. One, our perceptual abilities are quite limited. We only see in a tiny fraction of the available EM spectrum. The shutter speed of our eyes is actually quite slow. We don't see fast-moving things. There's a whole realm of ufology based on fast-moving objects. There are perceptual blocks, such as spoken language. Language gets in the way. Autistics don't have a language problem. We have a language problem. Why do I say that? Stop and think about an image. If you want to describe a picture to somebody, is it better to just show them the picture, or do you have to, or describe it with words? Well, it's better to just show them the picture. So, perceptual blocks. We have huge perceptual blocks for us neurotypicals. Our vibrational state does not resonate with those of ETs. Dr. Michiokaku said that. He was referring to vibrational states of electrons, which that might be what they are. We need to raise our vibrational energy state to allow us to come in sync with the ETs. Negative and cynical or non-believing thoughts do impede your ability to raise your vibrational state. Loving and appreciative thoughts seem to facilitate your ability to do that, and therefore contact. ETs choose when and with whom and where they want to make contact, so we don't have a lot of control over that probably. There also seem to be better times and even better places for making contacts. I've gone through that a little bit already. So where do we go from here? Well, anyway, I've already outlined most of this, but there is hope that we can break through the stupid. I don't want to call it stupidity. It's not stupidity. The materialistic view is a very important view. It had clearly has helped us immensely, but we are learning to go beyond it. It's a subset. The materialistic view is a subset of the field view, of the information field view. So these are some people that I like to acknowledge, and these aren't all of them, obviously. These are people in the, I'm talking about the academic world. There's so many people in the spiritual realm, not in the academic world, that really need to be acknowledged. But the Western university-minded or corporate-minded world needs to change. And there's hope for that. And I've illustrated some of that. So these are some of the people I left off, like Al Putoff. He's somebody I should put on there. There's a whole bunch of people. These are just some of them.
Mark,
right.
we don't see that list.
Oh,
We're still back on the why do most of us not see UFOs page.
oh crap, really? Okay. And okay, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, I don't know how that happened. Let's try it again. I thought I had that cleared out. I thought I had that taken care of. Can you see it now? Can you see it now?
No,
No.
you're not on share. Oh, there we go. Now yep, here we go. So
Okay.
where do we go from here?
It might be an internet connection. That might have been what was going on. I think it was an internet connection because I don't think I was making mistakes. Yeah, okay. So I want to go back. Did you hear me talk about perceptual skills? Okay. So let me get the tab thing out of the way.
You got a problem?
No, I think we got it fixed. So back up here then. So perceptual skills. Okay, where do I want to go here? Oh, I don't know if you're okay, we did. Yeah. So can you see this? Did you guys see this slide? Why do most of us not see UFOs? Did you see this slide?
Yes.
Oh, you did see this. Okay, good.
Yes.
Oh, before I can't leave this out. Have you guys followed the MindSight programs? VibraVision, Seeing Without Eyes, the VibraVision. This is amazing stuff, and it's provable. It's 100% proven. I mean, you just can't get around it. People have learned to use their energy capabilities without using their eyes to see things, sometimes fairly clearly. They can read books. They can do the really advanced people can. So that I can't leave that out. Okay. So I went over, did you see the perceptual skills stuff? Ian, did you see this slide here?
We did.
Okay.
Okay. You were up to the point where you were acknowledging people, but we couldn't see the list of people.
I think that was an internet, something happened to the internet because I didn't do anything different. Okay, so here, this is just a list of some of the people. Yeah. Gary Nolan, David Bohm, David Deutsch, Avi Loeb, Eric David. Avi Loeb still hasn't quite left the materialist view, but he's getting there, in my opinion. Eric Davis, John Mack, J. Kim Penberthy, Dr. Tucker Grayson, Hal Putoff. There's others, many others. But anyway, the reason I mention them is the academics are going to do data. They're going to get data. They want to measure stuff, and get data, and I think it's important to get data. So for me, I'm not into the data thing anymore because I already know it works, and I want to get it to. I want to learn how to better reach higher vibrational states because that's the key. Reaching higher vibrational states so you can resonate with them. So I'm done with the academic world. I'm ready to go to a really more of a spiritual realm because that's where it really works. The data is important because I think there's details in the data that are important to know. Okay.
I have something I want to ask you. You told me once that that the math and everything was showing the scientists that there's so much more to explore, and yet they don't go there. And that you're hoping, especially with your generation, you're saying that they're not going to be able to expand, and you would like for the kids coming up to not run into the same trap. Can you elaborate?
Well, absolutely. Elaborate. Well, right. I'll put it this way. When I was in my graduate program in physics, my supervisor, I shouldn't say his name. I think he's dead now, but anyway, I told him I want to study quantum entanglement and algorithms and quantum computers. And he said, "Oh, that's a bunch of baloney. That's not going to amount to anything at all." And I looked at him like, "Okay, yes. But it's only been indicated by the math at that point. Bell's theorem was basically all there was to it yet. The actual experiments hadn't been done yet, because I was talking about, I think this was 1980. The actual experiments weren't done until 83. But my point is, all the math indicated, even quantum entanglement, which was put forward by Einstein himself, even though he didn't like it, it's there. And then Bell's theorem in 1960s proved this man still wouldn't look at it. And he didn't accept my program. I had to go elsewhere. So this kind of stubbornness, even when the evidence, even though it hasn't been experimentally dealt with yet, the math is there. Even when it's right in your face, the vast majority of physicists still won't take it seriously. And I had a student who's a fairly well-known physicist up at the University of Chicago now. He won't talk to me anymore because he is one of those. He actually works in quantum physics, but he will refuse to try to understand the whole core of quantum physics, which is the wave function. He don't want to take it.
Why do you think that is? I guess I'm mystified. Why do you?
I'm mystified by it also. People say, well, they're not going to get grant funding, and that may very well be true. It's risky. It is a risky thing. For example, string theory. People spent 35 years studying string theory, and the form that they studied didn't come to any fruition. It might be coming to some fruition now, but people spent their entire life studying something that didn't work out for them. I think it's risky, and people are afraid to take the risk. But other than that, they shouldn't badmouth it, because they shouldn't be badmouthing it. They should say it's literally possible. There's a researcher in the study of time right now. I forget his name, begins with a C. He is saying a lot of this shit's bullshit. Well, there's a leading number of physicists who are saying that the nature of time is way more complicated than what you want to talk about. So the mathematics of being multidimensional time seems to be panning out in some ways. This guy says, "Oh no, that's all bullshit. I'm not going to look at it." I don't know I don't know what else to say about it. They shouldn't be discounting their colleagues who are taking this stuff seriously. There are little wars that go on in this stuff. I used to see these little wars pan out when I worked at Fermilab. Fermilab was actually a rather entertaining place to work. There were wars. The Italians and the Russians would go at each other. It was fun to watch. I know the Big Bang Theory, when Leonard and what's his name would go at each other. That's taken right out of real life events at Fermilab. I don't know why these people have to be so nasty to each other, but they do, and it still goes on. So they'll die off.
Else I'd like to invite, if there's anyone else who want to come in and ask Mark questions at this point, go ahead and join in if you have a question for him or something you'd like to say.
Yes, Mark, first of all, I would like to congratulate you for your presentation tonight.
Oh, thank you, Alex.
What you presented, it was fabulous in terms of conceptual understanding, cover a vast area of knowledge, but I would like to say that the knowledge that is required to operationalize of what you say, it is not here yet. It has to be offered to the upcoming generations, which is the Gen
Yes.
Zers and the millennials, which are particularly here in order to reconfigure the new civilization. You have, like you mentioned earlier, the corporate world is set up totally different. It's the Newtonian world is totally against it. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
we're at the point now that the old systems are coming down, which in the Newtonian world, everything is two-dimensional, and you're moving towards the quantum world, which is multidimensional. So some of the elements that you mentioned, they are very useful to start the process, but a reconfiguration of the entire enterprise architecture has to be created. Otherwise, that is the biggest obstacle. Not only in terms of not moving away from the materialistic world, but also holding the conscience of individuals who work in those places lower and lower and lower.
Yes. Very good.
Your presentation was fabulous as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Alex. I want to say one more thing about what I was feeding off what I just said and what Alex said. I got a kick out of cold fusion. CBS in 2008, I think it was, did an interview of a physicist who just would not take cold fusion seriously. Cold fusion, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but it was proven to be totally correct. And yet in 1993, I believe it was, MIT, Caltech, Harvard came out and poo-pooed the whole concept. Well, because they didn't look into it. They just simply said, this can't work, therefore it doesn't work. They didn't look at the details. And when they looked at later, not much later, when the details were looked at, they figured out why it didn't work all the time and why it did work. And now they don't call it cold fusion anymore. They call it low energy nuclear phenomena or something like that. It's an active field of research done by many corporations and many government labs, and it's been proven to be true. It's a phenomenal. I built a cold fusion apparatus and I got it to work. It literally created 5,000 degree temperature when all I was doing was electrolyzing heavy water using the correct type of palladium electrode. I was amazed it worked. The problem was they were using the wrong type of electrode. They're buying their electrodes from the American company instead of the Italian companies. That was the only problem. Otherwise, it worked. That's all it took. So that's another example. The academic world said, oh, cold fusion can't work. It has to be hot fusion. Cold fusion can't work. Therefore, it doesn't work. That's it. And yet they're proven to be wrong. So it's just another example. So, but yeah, Alex is the next generation coming up will take the ball and run with it. I'm quite excited about it.
Hey, Mark, have you studied Nassim Haramein? He's
I'm familiar with him. Yes, his work is
phenomenal.
I haven't studied him in detail, but I've read some of his abstracts. Yes, I am familiar with him. Very important theoretical foundation.
Yeah, he's all quantum. He's the one.
Oh yeah.
He's the one with the double torics construct.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Jason Padgett's another one.
Yeah, Dr. Teresa Bullard.
Yes.
She studied quantum physics and Newtonian physics, and she's the one who really got me started on the consciousness of quantum physics. And so she's really, really good. She gets into esoteric aspects, things of that nature. I think she's even in the mystery schools. She's in the mystery schools as well. So there's a lot of people, a lot of smart people out there that are on our side that are really
Yes.
shaking the trees, so to speak. So Nassim Harmim, I think, is going to be a barnstormer in the years to come. You know, I think people are going to
Yes.
start following him quite. And Dr. Teresa Bullard, she's another one. She's young. She's ambitious. She's very much into, again, the mystery schools of the Tree of Life and all the other different things that we need to focus our attention on. What's life? Who are we? What are we doing? And things of that nature. So I'm sorry I missed your talk. I was spaced off somewhere else. So, but anyway, but yeah, those folks. I mean, there's a lot of folks out there. I mean, we get hung up on Newtonian and all these other. That's where all the money's going. But I think that we're going through a big shift now, and consciously, and it's just a matter of time before we get to ring the bell, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. The telepathy tapes, I think, is a great step forward. I mean, you just cannot. You just can't deny what these autistics are doing. You just can't deny it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is, I don't know what do you need for proof,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but to see J.B. Ryan did this stuff back in the 50s, not as in your face as the telepathy tapes, but he clearly demonstrated the scientific proof of telepathy. So how does it work? That's another story. That's a good question. It's definitely not electromagnetic. Even J.B. Ryan proved that back in the 50s. He put them in Faraday's cages also, just like they did with the savants and the prodigious savants and the other autistics. So
it's just the idea of the quantum realm. I mean, it's a state of consciousness that we all enter into. As we sort of depart to 3D reality.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, it's more spiritual. I mean, you got to get really spiritual construct.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And then,
yeah. And then what's the role of the brain? What does the brain really do? I mean, it clearly is an information processor for the events in our realm, but you have to explain as I said in the talk, you have to be able to explain how prodigious savants can do what they do, and the nominal materialistic neural circuitry model this doesn't work too well. And I don't think the genetic model works either, even though people are trying to make that work.
Right.
I think you have to go into the information Akashic record model of consciousness.
Well, you got to kind of take a look at the holographic principle.
Yeah, that's what I talked about, or I mentioned it anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you got, who was it? Michael. Who was the guy who wrote the holographic universe? Michael.
I know what you're talking about. Not Kaku.
Michael Talbot. Michael Talbot.
Yeah, Talbot. That's right. Thank you. It is Talbot.
He came out with that holographic universe.
Yeah,
and one of the first books I read, I'm like, it kind of blows your mind,
Yeah. Well, the work of Juan Malsadena, and who really lays the mathematical foundation for the holographic principle model, is he's the one who really laid it out mathematically in the academic world.
So again, if you take the holographic construct, the principles of the brain again could be a universe within itself, as well as what we see in the material realm, So it's all interconnected in one way or another, and how this the divine can make everything infrastructurally connected. This process of entanglement is unbelievable. I mean, what isn't entangled, Mark?
That's a good question. If Hugh Everett's right, and the universe is one gigantic wave function,
right,
then everything's entangled.
Yeah.
But there's something called decoherence, which breaks entanglement. But so that leads me to this little picture that I introduced in the beginning, present of part 1, of a little cubical bit of the universe where all these little lines are actual galaxies connected together to supercluster groups. And so bottom line is, as I said, we're one little solar system in one galaxy that has billions of solar systems, and there's billions of galaxies linked together in this network. And that's just one universe, and that we have multi-universes and multi-dimensions.
Well, you talked about, I read your paper there a little bit about consciousness, and what is consciousness. That in itself is, to me, that's just magic. I mean, I look at equipment, I said, how does electrons go through here and turn this on, switch this on, da 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 da, to me, it's just all magic,
Yeah, it is magic.
Okay, guys, interruption. I'm so sorry. We're at over an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
I got time for one more. And Dr. Alex has his hand up, so we're going to bring you in, Alex, and we're going to have to wrap it up.
I have a very quick comment to make. Fred, I'm familiar with the work of Teresa Bullard.
Yes.
I'm very, very big supporter of her. The thing is this: she does not know how to operationalize what she says into the educational structure, and even more into the corporate world. You're asking about entanglement. The direct translation of that into the 3D terms, it's the vertical and horizontal alignment, which is the instrument by which we're going to be moving into the 5th dimension.
Oh, very cool.
So thank you, everyone, for participating. It was amazing. All of you, thank you so much. And Mark, thank you so much. Alexa, thank you for being the most amazing moderator in the whole world. And Mark, do you have anything else to say in closing?
Probably, but I can't think of it right now. I didn't cough. I can't believe it.
Mark is under the weather. Can you believe it? And he still came out to do this. And yes, you're so amazing. We appreciate you so much, because we were all really looking forward to it. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. So hopefully this will be posted. I know some people wanted to come and they weren't able to make it tonight. I'm going to try to post it tonight on YouTube. But thank you so much. And maybe, Mark, you can come back at another time, because I know you have so much to share. This was absolutely amazing. And we appreciate you showing up 3 weeks plus to do all this. Okay.
Well, we made through it. We got through most of it. My research right now is the Kiamichi Area X, further contact with Sasquatch. That's what I'm going to emphasize. And I'm trying to raise my vibration level up to theirs. And I've already had some pretty amazing experiences over there. But I want to thank you guys for sharing my little mission to peel back the layers and help reveal a deeper truth. So thank you, everybody, for listening to all this, and Indigo and Alexa for hosting all this. So, all righty.
Thank you. Okay, and just a quick reminder, our next meeting will be the last Friday of August, which is the 29th, 7 p.m. EST, and we're going to have Dr. Alex Strategaki, who was speaking tonight. He's going to be our guest speaker. He has not given us the topics yet, but as soon as I have it, I will post it. I hope you guys can make it, and thank you so much for your interest. We love you. Mwah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
They have to